Today, 3 girls would be doomed to die an honored royal death. A coil of dread wound itself around my guts at the thought, but I took a deep breath and focused on the little boy standing in front of me. Getting wrapped up in palace rituals wasn't part of my duties, but healing a child was. Especially when his cure meant food for my family. "Open your mouth and say, 'Ah!' as if the boatmen were chasing you." I held his face, which was covered in crumbs. Probably the remnants of a thick slice of warm honey cake. My stomach rumbled, imagining the treat he'd likely enjoyed. Beneath the mess, his tawny cheeks were unusually pale. "Ah!" the boy screamed. Smiling slightly, his innocence a welcome relief from my dark thoughts, I stuck the end of a spoon into his mouth to hold down his tongue, angling his head to the morning sunlight to see inside. Behind me, his mother hovered, smoothing her violet tunic and patting her hair, which was fastened into 2 neat buns above her ears. When she fidgeted, the gold chains looped around her forehead shimmered in the light streaming in from the window. Despite the circumstances, it was nice to see that the mothers who had all the wealth in the city were no different from the mothers in my neighborhood who had none. When it came to their sick children, their hands twisted nervously in the same way. The boy's throat was blistered white. I smoothed my hands over his bare back and touched my lips to his forehead to check for fever, an old healer's trick, since lips are more sensitive than hands. He was slightly warm, but not worryingly so. The glands in his neck were swollen, as they should be with an infection. But this child would be able to fight it off. His muscles were strong, his reflexes good, his eyes clear. Unlike the children of my neighbors, he was undoubtedly fed daily with the freshest fruits and vegetables, the finest fish and meats. I swallowed my hurt at the inequity. But it wasn't this child's fault. "You're going to be just fine." I ruffled his silky hair. "I am?" He popped his thumb in his mouth and sucked furiously, then withdrew it when his mother looked sideways at him with eyes outlined by thick strokes of coal. "Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure." I took his chin in my palm. "Why do you ask?" "Because the boatman comes when you're really sick." His lip trembled, and the thumb went back into his mouth. I took his other hand in mine. "I'm sorry if I scared you when I mentioned the boatman. The truth is, he's not so scary at all. He's a helper to the gods. Did you know that?" The lie rolled effortlessly off my tongue. He shook his head. "It's true. The boatman is just a man who lived long ago." I looked around the common room for something to add a note of truth to my tale. A carved wood sickle sword, one that was no doubt modeled after his guardsman father's, sat atop a braided rug next to an emerald-colored floor cushion. The boatman used to be a guardsman, but now he's a helper. When you die, you pay the coin for your passage, and the boatman scoops you up, puts you into his rickety boat, and paddles you off to the netherworld, where there are endless parties and games and honey cake forever and ever. I squatted down to his eye level. "But he only comes if you're very, very sick, which you are not, or very, very old, which you are not. Although you do look much older than you are, with these big, strong muscles." I squeezed his little arm. He giggled around the thumb in his mouth. Then his eyes grew serious. "Will be there in the netherworld when I go?" He looked at his mother, who ran her clean, carefully tended fingernails down her arm. From the direction of the sleeping quarters, an infant wailed. "Yes, before you go with the boatman as an old, old, old man." The smile flickered again. "She will be there waiting for you with the biggest honey cake of all." My throat constricted as I finished the story, But I forced the sorrow away with every bit of my strength.